Okay, so for this example, we're going to teach you how to handle this notation right here. And this notation is called summation notation. For this example, what we have is we have these different parts here. We have the pattern. So this tells us how to move from one term to the next, essentially. But what's helpful about it is it's a formula that just goes straight to whichever term you want. You don't have to find them in order. Down at the bottom, we have this I that refers to it as an index. Now, I know you guys are too young to have experienced the card catalog days of libraries, but in a library, they have ways of indexing their books. It's their way of organizing their books. This index really means something similar here as well. This I on the bottom tells me we're going to start with the first term. And we're going to go to the number on the top, which is the 80th term. Hopefully you can see that I mean first and 80th. All right, so if I want to find the first term, what's very convenient about this is notice that I is right here in the formula itself. It means my first term, we're going to take this and plug the number 1 into our first place, and we end up getting 7. If I want to do then my second term, I plug 2 into that location. And I get 10 plus 2, or 12. If I want to find my third term, I plug in 3, I get 15 plus 2 is 17. So therefore, let's just go ahead and jump now to the last term. If I plug in that 80, let's see, I don't know 5 times 80 off the top of my head. So I'm over here in calculator just to double check that. $400, I should have known that. 400 plus 2 is 402. So this series would look like this. Plus ... plus 402. Now, I don't really need to know any of my middle terms. All I really need, remember, is my first and my last term. So now I remembered in my rectangle, the height was the first plus the last term, and the width equaled half of the total number of numbers. I can see here that my first plus my last term will be that 7 plus the 402, which is going to equal 409. And my total number of numbers, I went from 1 to an 80th term. That's going to be half of 80. Or in other words, 40. So, if I take 409 times 40, doing this again on my calculator over to the side, I got that is equal to 16,360. And if you want to double check this in Excel, and you are welcome to, absolutely welcome to, I need to get my pattern started. I see that 7 was my first number, and then I added 5, and then I added 5, and then I kept adding 5. So I'm going to say equals my number above plus 5 and I get my pattern established. And then I want to go to the 80th term, so that means the 80th row. So right to there. And if you want to double check your work, we can say equals sum. Copy that. And we get 16,360. I'll do another example or two of these, but what I want you to do is I just want you to get used to this notation in your homework this time. So these problems look exactly like your homework, but we're going to use Alex, which means it is going to change up the numbers for every problem, and for each person will be different. It'll be like when we used My Open Math.